We have control of our minute, our hour, our day, our week, our month, and our year. Stop running around being on the receiving end of whatever people want to dump on you. You showed up. You accepted that invite. You invited these people to your house. You're in a relationship with that man. You're in a relationship with that woman. That's you. So how do you feel at the end of your night? It's always going to be based on the people that you decided to include in your day, your week, your month, your year, your minute, your hour. You got 24 hours in a day. When you go to sleep at night, how are you going to feel about your day? All depends on who you decide to include in your day. Stop running around acting as if you don't have a choice. You do have a choice. You do have a choice. You're a dysfunctional motherfucker. So you love dysfunctional people. You love rumors, you love issues, you love problems, you love people calling you with their problems. You love it. That's why at the end of every night you are drained, because you are submerged yourself in dysfunctional things, people, and situations.
Look me in my eyes and tell me you're not about to quit. Like, as a man, tell me you're not about to quit. Like, you're not about to wave the white flag and say, I yield. Like, tell me you're not about to fold. Tell me you're not about to go in a fetal position because the situation and the circumstance has gotten hard. Tell me you're not about to get to a campus, and because you're not getting what you thought you was going to get, you want to go back home and you want to call your mother. Tell me you're not getting on campus, and because they switch your position, you want to call your father and tell him to talk to a coach. Tell me you're not about to quit. And he's like, yeah, Inky, I'm about to quit. I said, why? I can't take the way they talking to me. I said, you're not 8, right? You're not 7, right? You're not a baby, right? He's like, nah, but I can't take the way they talking to me. I said, oh, you want them to treat you like the DoubleTree. You want to check in, they give you 2 warm cookies, they pat you on your butt, they tell you good job for doing what you said you was going to do.
If you don't know what your path is, if you don't know what feels good, if you don't have inspiration dragging you down a path, then you must experiment. Go with the hunches, go with the feelings. Go with the non-traditional path, the less traveled path, the road less traveled.
Like, you want validation. And I asked him the question, I said, this isn't about your legacy? Like, you're not working every single day feeling as if when you do something, if you're blessed to reproduce, one day when somebody go up to your seeds or your children, because of how you did it, they're like, man, that's your father, you good. Right? You don't want to do it in such a way that when somebody see you, they're like, man, if it has to be done, that is the way you do it. You're not doing it in such a way to when you do it, they're like, hey, you want to see how it's done? Let me turn on the tape so you can see this cat and see how he coming every single day. Not inconsistency.
Go where you can be a pioneer. Do something new. Do something revolutionary. Be a leader.
I get a lot of questions. People asking me for help. So I asked them.
Right, like I was one, I didn't care about talent. Right, I didn't care about skill set. Right, because I understood talent and skill set might betray you along the journey if they don't have a consistency of mindset and they don't have a certain level of fortitude in every fiber of their being. I tell my son all the time, I'm like, Ink, it's a big difference between a hard worker and somebody that works hard. Right? Most cats are somebody that works hard. If the situation and the circumstance is what they want it to be, they're going to come out and they're going to act accordingly and they're going to give you everything they got. But a hard worker, regardless of situation, regardless of circumstance, regardless of what happened, I'm going to show up and I'm going to give everything I got to it because I'm working for something that's totally different. Right? The question becomes this. Can you be committed to the process of what you're doing without being emotionally attached to the results of what you're doing? Can you be committed to the process of what you're doing without being emotionally attached to the results of what you're doing? In other words, if you don't get what you thought you was going to get, will you still be the same individual?
And it may not mean that you are out there making brilliant creative work right away, but you're breaking the bonds that have kept you stuck, that have kept your family stuck in squares for many years. You got to get out of the square. You got to color outside the lines. You got to break outside the box. And in that freedom, you now can explore.
You don't love yourself. You can't say that you love yourself when you continue to invite and include these people in your life. They're threatened, they're insecure. They have a problem with you and you don't even have a problem with them. They try and make you feel bad about being so blessed. They laugh about it, but they're throwing subliminal and very direct messages at you. They're jealous. They're envious. They're insecure. They're threatened by the idea that you're coming up. Your career and your life is advancing. God put people in your life for a reason. Others are there for a season. And it's very important that you recognize when people's seasons are over.
6 a.m. right now. Early. It's cold too, man. See, I like these conditions. Because if you can perform in these conditions, then anything's easy. Especially when your competition's sleeping, you're out here working, it makes your desire solidify even more. Because success doesn't know these things about cold or early or tired. It just knows if you showed up or not. The difference between someone successful and someone that's not successful is not their ability. Because this world is filled with people who's never achieved their true ability. The differential is their desire.
A lot of people would say, I love myself. Do you really love yourself? Are the things that you're doing and the people that you're hanging out with and the places and the circles that you're traveling in, does that reflect a person that actually loves themselves? If you love yourself, why would you fuck with those type of people? You know what they're saying about you behind your back. You know they're jealous and envious of who you are and the things that you got going on in your life and your career. You know that they don't like you. And they've made it clear. They've sent you every sign imaginable that they could possibly send you. And because you're so desperate to have people around you and in your life, you continue to go back. You continue to show up to everything they invite you to, knowing what they're saying about you. I'm saying that at this point, you are old enough and mature enough to understand the difference in good people and bad people. And when you're hanging out with negative, dark, and dysfunctional people, you cannot expect yourself to go to sleep at night and rest. You cannot expect yourself to feel good about your day when you're including negative and dysfunctional people in your day. So what you grew up with them? So what they're childhood friends? So what their family? We have a responsibility to walk in the direction of peace.
Here's how you know if someone's your friend. A, you can tell them bad news and they'll listen. They won't tell you why, you're stupid and why that bad thing happened to you and how something worse happened to them once and, derail the whole conversation. You can actually tell them bad news and they'll listen. So that's a good thing. And then this is a weirder thing. You can tell them good news and they'll help you celebrate. And that's a really good way of deciding who you should have around you. Because if you have someone around you, something good happens to you and you're kind of afraid to even admit it because, God, something good happened to you. It's like, you let that be known and it'll certainly be taken away. So, you come out and you sort of tell someone half-heartedly that something good happened to you and they give you a whack and then talk about, the great thing that happened to them 3 years ago. Or worse, the great thing that happened to someone that they knew 3 years ago. It's like, go away from that person. They're not helpful to you. And they're not helpful to themselves either. And so you want to surround yourself. You got to think about this. You got to surround yourself with people who want the best for the best part of you. You can hang around with weasels and losers that are trying to pull you down to justify the fact that they're spiraling downhill as well. And the upside of that is you don't have to have any responsibility and you can all whine about how wretched life is, so that's pretty attractive. But I would say it's also a bad medium to long-term plan. And so it's acceptable and desirable to try to surround yourself with people who are facilitating your development. And you might say, well, I've got people around, I know them well, they're not doing that well and and they don't fit into that category. It's like, what's your point? What are you going to do with them exactly? If they'll listen and cooperate with you and move towards a better future, great. If they don't pay any attention and they keep doing the same damn things over and over and they're not going anywhere and it's painful, then maybe the proper thing to do is say, you just have your misery. I'll go off and have my life. And maybe you'll wake up at some point in the future and think that's a better way of being. Because just putting up with it is, well, they call that enabling, right? You put up with that sort of behavior, you're providing tacit consent for it and even tacit approval. It's like, it's a bad idea. You have, I would say, both the right and the responsibility to surround yourself with people who are good for the best part of you.